afternoon to a very good afternoon to one and all present in this prestigious international conference, two-day conference. And to begin with, let me put on record my sincere gratitude to Dr. C.M. Patel, Honorable Chairperson, Research Culture Society, and also Professor Dr. Johanna, who is Honorable Director of Management Institute, Warsaw, University of Life Sciences, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts in this August gathering. I hope I'm audible, no?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. So, ever since I received this invitation from the organizers, I was wondering what kind of thought should I share? Because such a relevant topic, this in the current scenario, the topic on this management, economics, and all this put together, it's a very, very interesting topic, which is very, very relevant in the current scenario. So I was very excited, and at the same time, I was wondering what to share. So as I have been introduced to you that I am an academician, but I am a marketing professional turned academician, because the first more than 2 decades of my career, I spent in corporate, and then I came to academics. And of course, now for the last 14, 15 years, I have been teaching in different places, doing research and things like that. So let me share I have not intentionally not done any PPT. Just let me share my, insights impromptu to the esteemed, audience of professors, researchers, and, one and all. So the current scenario of business or the corporate, how it looks like, it is undergoing tremendous turbulence. It is a very, very turbulent time, not only due to COVID, which is a passing phase, we must say, because the world has seen pandemic in past also, though not a very frequent phenomenon, but it has been a regular phenomenon. And every century sees one or two pandemic which hit. So this is first of all a passing phase which we all have to overcome. No doubt it has posed its own set of challenges to all businesses and corporates. But apart from that, I will like to also discuss another challenge that corporate in current scenario is facing, that is fourth industrial revolution or industry 4.0, as the term has been coined. And even industry 5.0 is already being talked about in research circle and in corporate circle. So what has happened in industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution? The phenomenon was captured by a famous book, The Innovator's Dilemma. The book was written by, a well-known Harvard professor by the name of Professor Dr. Clayton Christensen. Of course, Professor Christensen died early last year. That is very unfortunate, but his work remains. And why this particular book I'm citing here, Innovator's Dilemma? Because probably when I read this book, I found that Professor Christensen was heralding the era of Industry 4.0 in this book. This book basically, he did what? He propounded the, concept of disruptive innovation. And that is the order of the day today. Disruptive innovation is the order of the day in current industry and business scenario. To understand what kind of sweeping changes are taking place due to disruptive innovation, let us go back a bit, some say 40 years back to sometime around 1970s of India, 1976, 77. And let us take the example of car market. What was the scenario in 1975, 76? In 70s, there were three car makers: Ambassador, Fiat, and Standard Motors. And what was the car market size of India at that time per annum? It was approximately 25,000 odd cars that was getting sold all over India around 40 years back. And what is the scenario today? We have got, innumerable players. All foreign players are in India, almost all. And, the car market size today is around 2.67 million. So 26, 27 lakhs car market is, we are looking at that size of car market in India per annum. And why only car? You look at industry. Let us consider life insurance industry. What was the scenario a few years back? That is not even 40 years back. Till 2000, when this new IRD Act was passed, and again foreign players were, allowed to venture into India, there was only one player, Life Insurance of India. If you want to buy life insurance, only Life Insurance Corporation of India was there. There was no other choice. And today, there are some, 30 players operating in the sector. So everywhere, the point I'm trying to drive home is every sector is facing hitherto unforeseen and unheard competition. That is number one. And number two, at the same time, the market explosion, the demand explosion. Thanks to higher disposable income in the hands of people, there is explosion in the demand. So markets have grown at the same time as competition grown. Being an ex-corporate, I imagine when I was working in a company called Shriram Refrigeration, and we were, selling air conditioning compressors and air conditioners and water coolers and things like that. I was working as a regional and then general manager with that company. So we had only one competition in compressors called Kirloskar. There were only two compressor makers at that time in India, Shriram and Kirloskar. And today, so that is what, there is an explosion in the market, absolute explosion. That is one phenomenon that is sweeping across all the industries. That is industry, and what industry 4.0 has done. Basically, fourth industrial revolution is seeing, a lot of technological innovation. And technology means faster changes, compressed time of new product development. And this can manifest, the technology has an uncanny knack of manifesting itself in myriad areas, anywhere in the value chain. It's not only it will, compress the product development time, thereby, introduction of new products. It will manifest itself in supply chain. It will manifest itself in HR practices. It will manifest itself in logistics. Whatever, the entire value chain, all functional areas of business, it has impacted, and it will keep on impacting each and every functional area in a business. So the point that I am trying to make here, please understand, esteemed researchers, because it calls for, and I'm myself trying to write a paper on this, and I will urge you researchers to please, conceive an idea of trying to capture the trend. In what way? Because industry, in my time, when I was a general manager and CEO, a practicing manager, I considered myself to be an expert when it came to sales and marketing, because I'm an MBA in marketing, and that has been I had begun as a area manager, then regional manager, like that. So all along in marketing, and I knew what I knew. What were my skill sets? It was at the best, you can say, at the best, not exactly, but broadly T-shaped learning. But we all know what is T-shaped learning. T-shaped learning is one area where you go deep in terms of your expertise and knowledge. So when when I look at myself, my depth of knowledge was in the field of sales and marketing, and broad knowledge I had, especially to work as a CEO and all. You need little man management, not little, primarily man management skill, then some general management skill. Like, I can't say that please don't bring that trial balance to me or anything to do with finance because I have not studied finance or I'm a salesman or I'm from marketing. No. So there was a broad understanding of all facets of business. But when it came to in-depth knowledge or expertise, I had expertise in sales and marketing. Having said this, in today's scenario, that this T-shaped learning, this T-shaped, whatever we call it, skill set, probably may not suffice or it will not suffice in today's corporate. So what is required is a pie-shaped learning. Pie-shaped means no doubt, again, expertise and specialization in a given field with, some knowledge of some other skill. And especially when we talk of some other skill, I probably mean some amount of, some amount of exposure and understanding of the latest technological trends. One may not be an expert in artificial intelligence, then blockchain, then virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, whatever, these terms are, the new terminologies have come, R, Python. But, so please try to understand me. One may not be an expert in everything, but as a corporate professional today, even if you are a sales and marketing professional or whatever we choose to, as our functional area, we need some amount of understanding, if not expertise, of what these technologies can do for us. It's not that as a CEO or as a, one needs to exactly know how to, do an analysis in R or Python or advanced Excel. But to be a CEO, one needs to know what exactly that technology can do for him and what the CEO exactly needs on his dashboard. So this is what, this is called, there's a new term. This is called pie-shaped learning. So where in-depth understanding and knowledge of one given particular field, be that marketing, be that logistics, be that finance, be that operations, or be that HR. But parallelly, one needs to have some insight and some, kind of hang at least of the new technological trends. Otherwise, nowadays, any functional area, like I teach retail, I teach sales and distribution management. Apart from core marketing, I teach these electives also to my second year students and also look into a lot of research there. I find that, all these areas now they are technology driven. In COVID era, we saw that despite all lockdown restrictions and all, that flow of essential goods to at our doorstep was made possible thanks to technology being applied in logistics and all these operational areas. So some kind of disturbance or some background thing, if organizers can, if the person can, So this is my emphasis that to survive in today's business scenario, one needs to, understand the technologies, apply them, and then only one can survive. Gone are the days, gone, because competition is very fierce, and customers, they look at value. Gone are the days of my time, like when we used to sell whatever we were making. Nowadays, customer buys what he wants, what he prefers. So drastic change, even selling process, because I have myself been a practitioner of sales, and I and all marketing students and marketing professionals, they know the famous 7-step selling process, like prospecting, then pre-approach, then presentation, then objection handling. Is that applicable in today's scenario? No. Why not? Because in my time, you used to take a lot of cold calls to understand or discover the, if the customer needed whatever I wanted to sell to him. But in today's scenario, these cold calls are redundant. Why redundant? Because of gadgets like Alexa, Siri, and this Android phone sitting at our home. What they do when if I ask Siri that Siri, please switch on the TV for me. Alexa, please run this particular song for me on and Alexa does it. So if Alexa, hello, some kind of background disturbance is there, I would urge to others to please stay on mute for the till I finish, just few more minutes.
Yeah, I request somebody to mute. There is a lot of disturbance playing on.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. So, I was telling you that if Siri can, listen to this thing, my kind of request when I ask Siri or Alexa to do something, that gadget can jolly well listen to, my private conversation with my wife and children. And that is very much manifested in, in today's world. If me and my wife on the dining table, we are discussing some kind of kitchen gadgets that we intend to buy, immediately on all social media, like Facebook and all possible social media, I see the advertisement of that particular. Suppose we discuss that we need to now buy say, microwave oven, new microwave oven or refrigerator, and immediately, within an hour or within half an hour, the advertisements start coming in. So what does it say? It says that now, because of thanks to these gadgets, which are no doubt making our life very easy and convenient, I need not even get up and run a song for me. Alexa can do it for me. Same Alexa is also capturing lot of data. So, and these data will definitely go in the hands of marketers someday or the other. And these marketers, they are sitting on huge data chunk now. Chunk, mountain of data, I will call it. Big data is not the right word. I will call it, ocean of data or mountain of data. So another skill set which is required by today's professional is, data analytics. Some amount of analytics on the data, so that this huge data that the different corporates are getting, that can be churned, and some meaningful interpretation can be, found out, which can be applied in their business there. So what basically I'm trying to tell you, even the selling process has undergone radical change. The professors who are teaching this traditional 7-step selling process in different MBA classes, it is a redundant talk, because now you don't need to, kind of prospect, then pre-approach, okay, because currently it is COVID scenario. Once it passes, God willing, it is already subsiding all over. So, again, that they will parallelly exist. This traditional form of selling, face-to-face selling, it will not be a thing of past. Once COVID goes, both will parallelly exist. Digital marketing and traditional marketing, both will coexist. It is not that since mixers are there, people have all thrown the traditional, gadgets that used to be used for, this masala and all. It is not that they parallelly exist. So some amount of traditional marketing will coexist with the current trend in digital marketing, online marketing, marketing analytics. All this, they will coexist. But the selling skills required have undergone a change. In my time, since we did not know exactly what customer needs, I had to sell to them whatever I had to offer. So a lot of objections were coming from the customer, because probably he did not have the need for the product. So objection handling in my time 35 years back, when I had begun my sales career, was an essential skill, objection handling. But in today's scenario, companies are they are striving to deliver value. They have got enough data about their target market after they apply all these analytics and everything, and they exactly know what market needs, and they are offering that. So that kind of voracious or high degree of objection is not to be handled, because as it is, you know what he needs and you are offering that. as I told you, the definition has changed. I had to sell what I had. Today, companies are selling what customers need, what the target market needs. So I will ask the researchers, which fortunately, since there is an prestigious international conference, and I have gone through the list of presenters, so there is a huge audience of researchers sitting among us. I'll request them to please, I'll urge them to, align themselves, align their research also to this changing requirement of the corporate and also the changing skill sets required for the corporate managers of future. That will be a very, very relevant thing. Recently, I've delivered some talks, some 5-6 talks in different forums, which basically deals with what innovative approaches we management professors need to. I think I'm running I'm out of time. I'll just finish with another 2 minutes. I think I have another 2 minutes, ma'am. Ma'am?
Yes, sir. Please continue.
I'll just finish in 2 minutes. I can see that we are exceeding time. So, I'll just urge that, this changing skill set. So I delivered talks on what kind of innovative approaches we should adopt in our management teaching, to produce industry-ready professionals who can cater to the demand of Industry 4.0 and Industry 5.0, where robotics and smart factories and all these things, analytics, they will, call the shots. They will run the whole show. So, I think I could deliver some value. I could make some sense in my, my insights make some sense to the research community and esteemed professors and all who listen to this. So, I had this much to share. Also, there is paucity of time. So, any questions are welcome. Otherwise, I end my discussion here. Thank you so much once again for your patient hearing. Thank you. Over to the organizers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Chatterjee, for sharing wonderful knowledge on a very relevant topic, that is like Industry 4.0. You were talking about technological innovations that very well presented. We all know that how much this blockchain is playing a major role in each and every sector. And the one point which you have highlighted, it's not the, okay, blockchain technology is there, but optimization of using that technology, that's the great thing. That is one of the important. So above all, it's a technology that depends in our hands how we use it. So that's a very valid point which you have highlighted. Thank you once again for sharing like wonderful knowledge with all of us. Thank you for sparing your time also. Yeah, thank you. Now, moving on to the next resource person on this first day of 2 days international prestigious conference, I would like to invite Dr. Masin. Let me introduce to all of you. He's a Dean of Faculty of Economics, Management Institute, Warsaw University of Life Sciences, Poland. He obtained a PhD in economics in 2009, defending his dissertation on the activity and economic situation of small and medium-sized enterprises from rural areas. In 2019, he obtained the degree of Habilitated Doctor of Sciences in the discipline of Management and Quality Science. He's also the author of many scientific publications in domestic and as well as in foreign magazines, as well as the author of 2 monographs on responsible business, on the example of agribusiness companies. He has been awarded many times at conference for the best articles and the best presentations in terms of substance. He participated in international internships from Atlantis Youth Exchange Program in Norway and international conferences, including Hungary, Slovakia, and Ukraine. So it is, yeah, once again, I would like to say a matter of proud for all of us to have such a prestigious personality among us on the first day. Would like to welcome you, sir. And yeah, over to you, sir. Dr. Masin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It gives me a great pleasure to note that Research Culture Society, Management Institute, Warsaw University of Life Sciences, and Scientific Research Association is organizing an international conference on business, management, social and economical advancements. The theme of the conference is globally relevant. The subject of the conference covers very important issues in the field of finance and economics, business entrepreneurship, marketing and management, human relations, and governance, policy, international economics. The conference will reveal the hidden potential in business, economy, and management sciences for successfully overcoming the pandemic situation. And the deliberations and the presentations will surely open up new avenues and explored in these areas. So I heartily welcome the learned professors, the researchers, and the participants from abroad, and of course wish this conference and grant success. So few words maybe about my presentation. One moment about university. I think now it is okay. Yes, you. Warsaw University of Life Sciences is one of the largest and the most prestigious universities in Poland. It educates nearly 16,000 students in 40 study programs, including 9 taught in English, from veterinary through economics and computer science to civil engineering. It employs 1,200 academic teachers, offers a modern campus, and in my opinion, of course, excellent learning conditions. As befits a modern 21st century university, the campus provides students with everything they need on the beautiful campus in the heart of Green Ursynów in Warsaw, in Poland. You can live, study, and spend time, of course, with friends. On site, you will find the cult club, a swimming pool, sport halls, playfields, indoor tennis courts, tempting green lawns, where on warm afternoons, and evening you can play, of course, an example, badminton and integrate with fellow students while grilling or watching a movie displayed on the dorm wall. Here maybe we have, of course, Erasmus Student Network, and as part of the Erasmus Student Network, we truly care for the integration of incoming students with the academic community, so that each incoming students receive support and can easily settle in the campus of Warsaw University of Life Sciences. At the academic year 2020-2021, Warsaw University of Life Sciences, in Polish it will be SGGW, SGW, was visited by nearly 1,000 foreign students. Here, maybe more, important information: 14 faculties, 40 fields of study, 1,500 didactic rooms, 4,000 places in dorms, many places in our campus, and 60,000 students. Here we have some pictures from our campus, and we have modern spa facilities, indoor swimming pool, sport halls, indoor tennis courts, gym and hippotherapy center. Here we have fields of study in English. Maybe a few words about faculty of economics, because we have from we start from October 2021. I hope we can start finance and accounting in Faculty of Economics. Master degree, 4 semesters, and we start from 1st October 2021, and we have master diploma 120 points of ECTS. So about our school, I think this is for the finish picture from our campus, Warsaw University of Life Sciences. So thank you very much, and of course very good. I wish you a very good conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Marcin, for sharing your wonderful ideas. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for lovely presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, with your permission, Dr. Patel, like, shall I move on to the presentation session?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So without wasting time, so my name is Dr. Kiran Sood and my co-moderator Bhavya. We are the moderators for this first day, 2 days international conference. So before that, I'll announce the first participant for the first day. Let me just tell you the time of each paper presentation approximate would be maximum 8 minutes. And apart from those 8 minutes, 2 minutes will be given to you for question handling round. So overall, it is 10 minutes, 8 plus 2 minutes. So please take care of this. And I request all the participants to keep your PPTs ready so that without any delay, we'll like move on to like all the participants as per the timeline. So that's because time is very much important for us. So without wasting our time, I would like to call upon the first participant on the first day of this 2 days international conference. That's really a matter of proud. I'm calling the first participant. His title of presentation is The Impact of Islamic Corporate Governance, Compliance and Islamic Social Reporting on the Financial Performance of Islamic Banks. I hope the participant is ready. You can start sharing your screen.
Yes, ma'am. For the first presentation, we have time. I think we have given 1 p.m. time.
Yes.
So first two presenters are not here in the meeting.
Here. Okay, so I'll call third participant, if you will say.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
This is Mayank from MET, and I am the second number participant. So can I present my
Dr.
paper?
Shovana Chaudhary?
She is my co-author.
Yes, Patel,
Yes,
sir,
yes.
with your
You
permission.
can continue.
Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Mayank, your name is Mayank Kumar Jha.
Yes, sir. Sir, can I share my screen?
Yes, just hold on.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can continue.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please try.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, it is visible.
Thank you, ma'am. So good afternoon, everyone. This is Mayank Kumar Jha from MET University, Jharkhand. And my title of the paper is A Study Analysis of Vendor Satisfaction Regarding Atal Smriti Vendor Market in Ranchi. So street vending is pervasive across globe, especially in developing nations. It is significant activity related to informal sector in urban areas, in all civilizations, acquainted and medieval. One records of voyaging dealers who not just sold their products in a town to town by going house to house. However, they likewise exchange neighboring nations. The local bodies conduct eviction drives to clear the pavements of these encroachers, and in most common cases, confiscate their goods. A street seller is comprehensively characterized as an individual who offers products to be purchased to people in general everywhere. It is an urban phenomenon, both in developing and developed countries. The objective of this study is to understand and find out statistics of street vendors and the government schemes protecting their rights, to analyze the level of satisfaction to the street vendors of the Ranchi city who are shifted to the new Atal Smriti vendor market, and to study the socio-economic status of the vendors of the vendor market. Coming to the literature review, According to WHO, in 2015, the expectations of the government that the people should be provided hygienic food and the behavior of the consumers will put pressure on unhygienic street vendors to either improve the quality of their stalls or to withdraw from the street food market. In 2011, a study was conducted by the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, TISS, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. Its objective was to highlight some of the problems faced by street vendors in conducting their daily business states about Ranchi. Coming to the legal provisions under constitutions, hawking, vending means the act of selling of goods for a living. It is one of the oldest occupation in India by the virtue of Article 19(1)(g). Every citizen has a right to carry on any lawful trade or business. Article 14 of the Constitution deals with equity before law. Article 19(1)(g) of the Constitution guarantees to every citizen the right to practice any profession or carry any occupation, trade, or business. The court must balance freedom of trade under Article 19(1)(g) and freedom of interstate trade and commerce under Article 301 against the national interest. Coming to the district density, the initial provincial data released by Census India in 2011 shows that the density of Ranchi district for 2011 is 572 people per square kilometer. In 2001, Ranchi district density was at 449 people per square kilometer. Ranchi district administers around 5,097 square kilometers of areas. Coming to the statistics for street vendors, from various records of trade unions and other sources, there are around 35,000 street vendors in Ranchi. And therefore, the total 35,000 street vendors in Ranchi and around 3.5% of the total population. Ranchi is governed by the Ranchi Municipal Corporation Act of 1959 with the other urban local bodies ULBs and government and governed by the Bihar Municipal Act of 1922. In addition to some central funding is available through Urban Infrastructure Development Scheme for Small and Medium Towns, UIDSSMT, Integrated Housing and Slum Development Program, IHDSP, Basic Service to Urban Poor, BSUP, SJSRY means Swarna Jayanti Sahari Rozgar Yojana, NRCP. Recently, Ranchi Municipal Corporation had surveyed around 5,901 street vendors in the Ranchi city. Schemes which have indirectly benefited the vendors. Swarna Jayanti Sahari Rozgar Yojana and Basic Service to Urban Poor. Under the SJSRY, there are 5 main schemes which are running in Ranchi's urban areas. These schemes are Urban Self-Employment Program, Urban Women Self-Help Program, UWSHP, Wage Employment Program, Step Up Program, and Urban Community Development Program. Now coming to the Atal Smriti Vendors Market of Ranchi. Ranchi has one central main road, MG Road, which is also known as the commercial spine of the city, which is a narrow and heavily congested with all types of vehicles and hawkers numbering more than 1,000. Nearly 1/4 of the stretch of this road is heavily affected with nearly 500 hawkers taking up both sides of the road, congesting the already narrow roads. The municipal corporation and the urban department proposed Atal Smriti Vendors Market on a vacant plot in this road adjoining Jaipal Singh Park, which has been designed to build total office floors. The vendors market is designed on a plot of around 2 acres with built-up rear of 295,000 square feet. Some special features of the Smriti vendors market include CCTV security system, public addressing system, parking management and guidance system, firefighting system, 24/7 electric supplies, light and fan for every kiosk, natural light arranged by void and roofing with transparent polycarbonate sheet, total 85 numbers of washrooms or toilets. The project details are as follows. You can see the lower basement, upper basement, all the descriptions are given in this chart. Now coming to the more detail, the total number of 110 shops with built-up area approximately ranging from 89 square feet to 210 square feet have been developed. The total number of 23 offices spaces for commercial use with built-up area approximately ranging from 765 square feet to 1719 square feet have been developed. 2 food court, a commercial space for use of multiplex, banquet hall, and a terrace restaurant has been also developed with the same, will also be leased out. The building has a double basement for 300 cars and two-wheelers with entry and exits from both the front and rear roads to reduce traffic congestion in the approach roads. Coming to the methodology, the spectrum of the study was quite large. So the present study has been conducted on the street vendors to have been shifted to the new Atal Smriti Vendors Market of Ranchi. The methodology adopted for doing this study is both primary as well as secondary. For primary data collection, we use personal interview method with structured questionnaire and with all types of questions. Coming to the data analysis, out of the total respondents selected for the survey, majority of the respondents are male and only 20% female. Majority of the street vendors age between 30 to 40, then they are above age 40. Majority of the vendors are married and running the life, and 20% are unmarried. Majority of them have passed matriculation of education, followed by equal in intermediate, and can sign only then graduation. 72% have nuclear family, 28% are a part of joint family. Of the total respondents, equal of them have Pakka house and Kacha house, and 12% lives in Jhopri. Coming to the income, most respondents earn between 10,000 to 15,000, followed by 5,000 to 10,000. And lastly, list from below 5,000 and above 20,000. Of the total respondents, 64% are really happy to get the permanent shop, 32% are good, and few are not satisfied and are not happy. Coming to the conclusion of the paper, the present study shows that the Ranchi municipal has surveyed around 9,000 street vendors of Ranchi city. The demographical and socio-economic aspects of the vendors were male, and most of them were matriculation passed and married. Another finding was that majority lives in semi-Pakka house. In addition, the monthly household income of the vendors exemplified that an average between 10,000 to 50,000, which is not a good amount to live a family at urban center. I'll thank you all for their patience listening.
Thank you, Mayank, for a wonderful research paper presentation. If any questions, I request the audience, all the research persons, if you have any questions, we can go with it. Okay, so I think there are no questions. So thank you once again, Mayank.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So, Dr. Patel, shall I move on to the third participant?
Yes.
Okay.
Please, welcome.
Yeah, the third one is Farrell Ihram, and the title of article is Entrepreneurship Incubators for University Students in Indonesia. That's a very relevant topic. Yeah, would like to invite you.
Hello.
Yes.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you for the chance. Now I would like to share my opinion on entrepreneurship incubator for university students in Indonesia. A lesson learned from global company CEO. Okay, I'm Ferry Ramuzaki, and today I would like to share my ideas. Okay. Okay, the framework of this lecture is the factor of the research, best practice from tech billionaire CEO, and what entrepreneurship business incubators could do to raise up number of entrepreneurs in Indonesia, of course, and the conclusion. Factor of the research, there is a global shifting during COVID-19 pandemics, as intended were in working in office in the work from home. The classical business model have to apply a COVID-19 health protocol, while most office closed, focused to restructure their own staff. On the other hand, the information, communication, and technology, ICT, has raised an opportunity for university graduates to set up their own startup business. The universities in Indonesia have to adapt themselves into global challenge that occurs in Indonesia. Okay, there is this mapping characters of young CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Eric Yuan. The Mark Zuckerberg partnered with his friend to create social network while he worked in Harvard University. The site first officially in June 2024, and he got venture capital and moved to Silicon Valley in 2005. On the other hand, there is Elon Musk, who is South African-born American entrepreneur and businessman, firstly founded PayPal, and then he invests it in SpaceX and Tesla. And now we know that he was the richest man in 2009 until now. And the last is the Eric Yuan, the founder of Zoom, a video communication tool, went public in April 2019. He was previously manager at Cisco, and then he was born in China, moved to Silicon Valley. Okay, now, so he get more public attention during business when there is a COVID-19 pandemics. Okay, let's listen what entrepreneurship business incubators could do to raise up number of entrepreneurs. So the first teach young students how to deal with 21st century business challenge. Number 2, teach young students how to adapt with trends for today's first century technology. And the third one, we have to teach them how to react on global consumer shifting on COVID-19 pandemics. And the fourth, we have to deal with the students, with the bankers and our venture capital in relation with capital flow. And the last one, teach students how to deal with corporate social responsibility for social work. This is an obligatory for Indonesian government. In conclusion, the development of internet and its component has raised opportunity for young and university students to create startup. Thus, the creation of startup has raised needed entrepreneurship incubator that create enthusiasm or unrelated objects. So, and the subject, of course. Thus, it needs advisors from 3 branches, from the internet experts, economic professors, and practitioners. The internet expert will give a point of view on how internet works and its own component. The economic professor will give the view on economic theory, and the practitioners are going to give the students on how to boost up marketing. Thus, it needs direct access to venture capital to get loans with students' precious assets as the underlying. Okay, I think since the limited time limitation, thank you.
Vice Principal Academy, Indian Institute of Management and Commerce, and my co-author Srimati CRL Kalyani, Head Department of English in the same college. And my topic is on design thinking, a human-centered approach towards innovation, a conceptual framework. To address the issue of marketing and synchronize with the global demands, design thinking has emerged as an approach to an alternate business environment and is widely adopted by marketing the brands such as Apple, Samsung, GE to produce intentional and human-centric products. Design thinking is adopted by various companies to help devise strategies, marketing plans, innovation efforts, and organizational design. This study emphasizes the growing need for the brands and products which attract design thinking as an iterative approach and tries to bring its importance in the present scenario from the experience of select companies such as Infosys, Microsoft, and Apple. From the literature review which we have taken, it is concluded that the design thinking is a creative work which needs empathy, idea, and consciousness and innovative thinking to solve complex problems. It leads to change in the business scenario and can overcome the competition from the overall market. There is a need for the study on the importance of design thinking, which may take into account the customer's desire, taste, circumstance, produce goods and services as per their demand. Based on the literature review and need, the following objectives are to study the conceptual framework of design thinking, to evaluate the design thinking process adopted by select companies. And the research methodology, the study is purely based on secondary data collected from various reputed magazines, journals, articles, and companies' official portals. The data is taken from the select companies, as most of the process of design thinking is getting developed by them in the course of developing new products and services to meet and suit the requirements of customers. And the design thinking, a non-linear process, it is observed that design thinking has 5 stages: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. In design thinking, empathy means to create research and understanding of your users, defining the user's needs and creating an innovative platform, brainstorm and come up with an innovative ideas as many possible, building a representation of one or more your ideas to show to others. A prototype is just a rough draft. And design thinking in select companies, we have taken Infosys. In Infosys, design thinking is used to lift its innovation culture, and it's running 30 client workshops on design thinking principles that enable the firm and its customers to change their approach to customers. The Infosys approach to design thinking is to view it as an intentional, human-centered activity driven by cross-functional collaboration and computational design that encompass every aspect of an organization, from people, objects, environment, messages, and systems, to accomplish not just digital but also cultural and organizational transformation. Design thinking is used in finding new ways to simplifying banking technology to meet the growing needs of customers, where the next customer frontier will emerge. And Microsoft has taken this design thinking is mainly user friendly and so on. In the application of design thinking, they could bring change in their software from technology centric to user centric, where design is taking as an essential role in this new development model. 3 things are taken into consideration by Microsoft, such as technology viability, business feasibility, and design usability. All these elements are successful for a business in achieving innovation. They emphasize that design is an essential to solve users' problem and address their needs in the production process. And Apple has taken it from empathy viewpoint as opposed to problem identification. It is thought more of a solution driven approach. The change in design approach resulted in iPhone in 2007. They focused on crafting the best quality products and services while stressing on its simplicity of design and user friendliness of their products. Design thinking enabled Apple to reach the greatest heights in the market and take over the world technology in all aspects, be it usability, design, and user interface. In the words of Steve Jobs, most of the people make a mistake thinking design is what it looks like. People think it's this wiener. That's not what we think about design thinking. It's not just as how it looks and feels like. Design thinking is all about how it works. And the conclusion from the study says that the design thinking process is continuously using their results to view, question, and improve their initial assumptions and modifying the thinking to suit the needs of the customers. Infosys focused on the human-centric innovations, and emphasis was more on cross-functional design and computational user-centric product managed by design thinking team, and it includes the following by elements in a cycle which has 5 phases: understand, envision, specify, implement, and maintain. Apple meant design thinking approach from empathy viewpoint as opposed to problem identification. It is thought more of a solution driven approach. It is emphasized that design thinking is more utilized to shift our think process from technology centric to customer centric. It is also opined that design thinking taps into capacities we all have, but sometimes we overlook them by our conventional problem-solving practices. Hence, more focus should be given by innovators, product developers, and design thinkers in this regard, and bring a new wave of customer-centric products and services in view of the changing lifestyles, preferences, and keeping in mind the scenario of pandemic facing by the world around. And the suggestions to introduce design thinking process in academic field by introducing student-centric learning and meeting the demand of market in view of the student career opportunities. Design thinking is suitable to apply as a strategy in defense and army to protect the country from war and other threats. This approach can be utilized by professionals in meeting their client demands. Design thinking is more suitable in adopting technology to suit the needs and requirements of changing phase of society from time to time. Design thinking is a new domain in the field of marketing technology and more useful in digitalization process in bringing customer-centered products and services. Research scholars can adopt case study method by taking experience of companies and pursue further research. SWOT analysis of design thinking, issues and challenges of design thinking, and other ancillary areas can be taken up for the purpose of study. Over and above all, one thing is apt to quote that during 90s, design thinking was a luxury, but now generally accepted that it is critical to our success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Thirumala. So we were listening to Dr. Thirumala on the topic of design thinking, a human-centered approach towards innovation, a conceptual framework. So I request the attendees, if they have any questions, they feel free to ask. Any questions? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Thirumala. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excuse me, madam. Can I
Yeah.
present my presentation number 8?
Number 8 is okay. Dr. Bhavna.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Yeah. Please share your screen. It's green supply
Okay.
chain management in India, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Please, ma'am, share your screen. Patel sir, can you stop sharing your screen?
Is it visible?
Now hold on. Yes, Patel sir, can you stop sharing your screen? Only then Dr. Bhavna would be able to share her screen. Just give me a second, ma'am. Let me call.
Are you able to?
Yes, Dr. Patel sir.
Yes, you can able to.
No, sir, you have to stop sharing your screen. Only then she would be able to share.
Screen is not visible now.
Yes, now, yes, Dr. Bhavna, you can share your screen.
Example, in the current pandemic situation, it is evident that how the power of human beings is very teeny or tiny to the supernatural power of nature. But still, we need to exploit environment and nature to our will for our own economic benefits and advantage. One such example, if we can, it will be much more good if we can go to the history of economic exploitation in India and study this, and then we can have a good relation of its past and the present. Okay, one certain such example is the timber exploitation of Indian forest in the 19th century. So before coming to this timber exploitation, let us first have a look over what was there, what was the condition of Indian forest before the coming of British colonial power in the wake of the 18th century. Now, in the pre-colonial period, there was large amount of Indian forest which was being harnessed and exploited by the Indians, but there existed a symbiotic relationship between man and nature. Humans used to harness the forest resources, but that is through a limited access. There is no such exploitation of forest and no such deforestation of the forest. There are several studies and ancient historical sources like the Pillar Edicts of Ashoka, the other medieval sources of Aini Akbari and Akbarnama suggest that humans have a particular cultural cognizance that prevent them to exploit forests beyond their limit. For example, humans believe that forest and natural resources is basically a part of the God-centric world. So there always remained a fear or a tendency to preserve the implements or the preserve the items of God or the preserve the items of nature. And in fact, the process was not so exploitive that they can deforest, they can go on for a large-scale deforestation of the forest resources. So the situation was overall symbiotic till the coming of the colonial state. Now, what changed this situation? The situation undergo a paradigm shift with the Industrial Revolution in the West, which happened in around 1700 CE. Now, there will be a question, how can the Industrial Revolution in the West can impact the forest resources or the forest history of India, which was some thousands and thousands of miles from Europe. For this, we had to come into our article and explain it briefly or explain it systematically. Now, what happened in the Industrial Revolution? The first thing it changed is that the cultural cognizance of human beings. Previously, as I've stated, that humans believed nature as nature should be preserved as an item of God. But what the Renaissance did, it basically revolutionized the human thinking, and from now on, humans started thinking that they are the center of the world and they can exploit nature and its components as well, because they are the supreme creator of God. Okay, and in fact, this opened all the industrial revolutions and other geographical and scientific revolutions for our prospects. And here we find that as a result of this thinking, what happened? There was a constant rise of the population. You can see in the chart in the there is given the chart in the PPT, and how you can see after 1600 CE, 1500 CE, the population undergo a huge boom. And as a result of this population boom, the demand in the market also increases. As a result of the increase of demand, as we all know, the production should also increase, and this propelled the large-scale industrialization and industrialization production in Western Europe. This industrialization production, in fact, in turn now need huge supply of raw materials. Now, where do this raw material come from? And one of the chief important commodity of this raw material was the fuel, or what we call the timber. Okay, because timber at that time is used as the major fuel, because at that time petroleum was not invented. So timber and coal was used as a major fuel for running these Western industries, be it cotton industries, be it wool industries, be it all those type of iron or steel industries or any thermal industry. The timber, primarily this timber was supplied from European forest, but European forest was very limited in nature or limited in resources. And as you can see from the chart, that within 100 years, all the European forest is now depleted. As you can see in the left of the picture, so much greenery is there, and in the right side, within 100 or 150 years, all the European forest is now depleted and deforestation was there. The huge black forest of Germany, the forest of Bavaria, all are now depleted. Okay, so due to this, and in fact, timber is basically need a huge time. It needs at least 80 to 90 years to attain a marketable size. So so considering this demand and this production, we cannot, the Europeans cannot sustain their industry solely depending on European timber. But they had to run their industry. From why do this now the timber would come, or from why do they get the timber now? As all you know, the European powers now ventured for their colonies of East to sustain this industrial boom. By 1816, began a large drain of environmental resources from India to Britain. In fact, since the age of geographical discoveries, India is taken as one of the environmental storehouse of natural resources, particularly timber. And Britain, as one of the thriving industrial power of this whole world, now utilize this opportunity, utilize this colony at her will. In fact, the colonial machinery of Britain was basically at that time was forwarded or was basically moving for a large-scale forest exploitation. And what was the chief component? Chief component was the timber. In fact, large-scale studies, of the environmental historians prove that 80% of the exported raw materials, which went from India to Britain, or in fact in other Western European countries, 80% of it was composed of only timber resources. The forest of India was now depleting totally, or was continuously being harnessed for exporting timber. So where are these timbers going? Chiefly, these are going for two main industrial production. Apart from using it as fuel, but there are two other large-scale industries that became the chief consumer of this Indian timber. What are these two? These are the shipbuilding industry or the large-scale oceanic vehicles. In fact, you know that the trade, in fact, to sustain the trade, Indian oceanic trade, you need to build large-scale ships. And these ships are being, in fact, built with large-scale timber. In fact, there was a popular note or popular line that the colony of Britain rests on its wooden walls. What does this quote-unquote wooden walls mean? Basically, these are the ships which are made of timber. And as a result, huge scale of timber is now supplied from India to Britain. And as the estimate suggests, about 12.78 lakh tonnage of timber is being supplied only in 1880. And within 80 years, 49.37 lakh of tonnage of timber was supplied. It's a huge amount. And in fact, what are these Indian oceanic vehicles? Not only these are commercial vehicles, but to thrive this huge commercial supply chain, you need also defense and military power. And military ships are also now built by the Royal Indian Navy, by Royal Britain Navy. And where the timber of British ships would come from the same forest resources of India. The second, if shipbuilding was the primary, then the second, and in fact, it would be the larger, it would be larger than shipbuilding industry, was the railway industry, which would be another chief customer for Indian timbers. And what does timber required in railway industry? It is required chiefly for building the railway sleepers of the railway tracks. As you can see in the pictures, all the timbers which are being carried out, and in fact, using the railway itself is basically used for supplying the railway timbers or the sleepers of the railway tracks. Now, as by 1853, we know that railway is introduced in India, and by some 20 or 30 years, 51 lakh kilometers of railway tracks are being introduced only in India. And where do this timber or the sleepers would come from? It would come from the Indian forest itself. And another fact is that these sleepers, as they were continuously exposed in rain and other weathering, they cannot last long. So after 20 or 30 years, they need to again be renovated, or they need to be again rechanged by new timber, and as a result, more deforestation would continue. Now, coming to scientific point, you want timber harnessing, you want to exploit timber, but for this, you need to know the nature of Indian forest. For example, you need to know various things. For example, which timber would give you durable wood? The first important thing. Not all the trees, not all the timbers can give you durable and long-lasting wood. Only certain timbers like the deodar, sal, teak, or mahogany can give you timbers which can be used for durable purpose. So for this, you need to know these timbers and where they could be found. And Indian forests are not equably situated. You cannot get the timber equably everywhere in the forest. For this, you need to know the land. But the colonial establishment at that time is basically foreign, and all the data they have of the medieval times or ancient times proved to be very insufficient to sustain their huge colonial demand. So now they introduced a quote-unquote instrument or weapon, that is scientific forestry. And the first part of this is to establish the forest department, which would continuously harness for large-scale survey of the Indian land. And by 1850s, the whole Indian forestry is now under the scrutiny of Britain. Now, one thing is certain, that the forest department would basically cope, is not basically for the protection of forest, but to exploit the Indian timber resources. Okay, and for this, the forest department in 1878 brought up 3 important laws. These are the law of forest, which segregated whole Indian forest. In fact, large square kilometers of land into 3 categories. This is the first segregation of Indian forest in the colonial era. And what are these 3 segregation? These are reserve forest, number 1. Number 2, these are protected forest. And number 3, these are village level community forest. The reserve forests are basically used for the exploitation of timber, while the protected forests are basically reserved for the future use of the colonial states. And the third, the village level community forest, it is basically used by the other Indian entrepreneurs for their own personal use. As for historians Ramchandra Guha and Madhav Gadgil and other historians like Richard Grove, this is a far-lasting impact in Indian forest environmental history. Why? Because for so long there was no restriction for the Indians to go and harness for the forest or go and utilize the forest for their own use. In fact, for the Adivasi tribes, forest was basically a life part and parcel of the lifestyle. But within a single life, within a single law, within a single 12 hours, all of this lifestyle changed. Now their movement in the forest are being restricted, and they would be prosecuted if they move into the forest. So huge scale disbalance of the Indian lifestyle and the forest. And in fact, these tribes were basically protecting the forest by their own cultural cognizance. They would not allow any outsiders to come into the forest to harness. Forget about timber exploitation or felling of trees. They would not even allow any outsiders to come into the forest to harness their mineral resources. But now it was the colonial missionary who should now facilitate for this systematic exploitation of the forest. And by 1870s, forest exploitation has become a business for Britain, as B. Brandeis has uttered that wisely in his endnote, that forestry in India is basically a business which is based more upon mathematics than upon botany. And in fact, all the superintendents of forests who have been recruited at that time are basically economists, mathematicians, or basically ICS officers of Britain. No one or not a single person was from the botanical department. It was it's basically a very satirical approach. And in fact, there's a chart where you can see that around within 1 year, the revenue of forest department by exporting timber to outside is basically 90 million rupees. It is in 1898 and 1899 period of 1 year. So within 1 year, they are making the revenue of 90 million rupees, which is huge if we consider it in present terms. And in fact, by 1890s, the forest of India is now laid open for private British entrepreneurs also. They are also now moving towards the forest and exploiting the timbers and exploiting. And in fact, large-scale deforestation has continued. All South Madras or province forests were now deforested. So is the case for northern provinces. Now very little amount of forests are being still left. And now the British colonial establishment so move towards the northern Himalayan region. And you can find this region in the map, and it is a greenery region. And there they are now harnessing the river valley forest. This river valley forest, in fact, has certain new advantages. First of all, by naturally they are much more durable because they are being fed by organic manures of the hillside. Secondly, they are easily accessible from the Haridwar plain. Thirdly, they are easily concentrated in single area. And fourthly, the rotation period of this Himalayan timbers are much lesser than the evergreen forest of the northern plains. That means they can grow much faster. Within 10 to 20 years, they can reach marketable size. So now all these Bias, Sutlej, Yamuna, and Indus River Valley forests are now being approached by the British entrepreneurs, and large-scale deforestation follows. Now it has larger impact. Not only deforestation bringing in global warming, which is also happening in northern plains, but harnessing or deforestation in the hillside is also making two other impacts. What was this? This was soil erosion. Large-scale soil erosion and landslides were following in hillsides. This is making the river much more silt-laden, and it is making huge flash floods in the lower valleys. And as a result, large areas of villages in the lower river fans or river valleys are being drained out or deposited with silts, and agriculture and human settlements are destroyed. Thirdly, the global warming in these regions of Himalayas also tended to help to the receding of glaciers, which is a very typical feature of colonial age. Glaciers, sources of the glaciers of these rivers are now started to be receding, considering the increase of temperature. Receding of glaciers, in turn, not only gives a global impact of environmental degradation, but also it also results in several flash floods, which is called glacial outburst floods, and large-scale regions of lower Uttarakhand and Punjab is now being flooded yearly, and the flood continues to rise. In fact, the forest superintendents at that time cannot in fact cope up with why these glaciers are receding. But 50 years down the line, they can understood what was the actual reason of receding this glacier. Again, forest in this region helps to invite rainfall, but now rainfall is also declining, and as a result, it's impacting negatively the agricultural output. So thus, colonial age, if we come to conclusion, is a paradigm shift of the environmental history of forests in India. Coupled with the industrial revolution, it generated large-scale demand of timber. And where do this timber started to be infiltrated to Britain or to Western India or Western Europe? It is from the forest species of India. And as a result, large-scale deforestation followed, and which would have much larger climatic and environmental impact. Now, at the end, we should also answer that what should be the solution? Because we cannot stop industrialization, we cannot stop the development of railways, we cannot stop the shipbuilding industry, but we cannot also exploit the forest at will. So how can we continue both? It can be achieved only by a sustainable development or sustainable exploitation of the forest, whereby it should not stop the development process, but we should also should not exploit the forest at will. There should be a balance, and large-scale afforestation should also continue to make this balance, whereby exploitation of forest would be balanced or would be exchanged with plantation of more forest in the area. So this sustainable development is the final solution for such a reason, and our paper suggests how the colonial age forms a paradigm shift or a watershed in the history of forest economy in India. Thank you. Let me just stop sharing the screen.
Thank you so much, Das Gupta. Thank you so much for sharing wonderful insights on a very relevant topic, which is timber exploitation, moving towards one of our global goal, SDG. So that's a very relevant topic. We all are experiencing this global warming. So that's one of the initiative which you have presented through this paper to all of us. Thank you so much for having your wonderful knowledge on this topic. I request attendees to have any questions. Is there any question?
Rebadikar, Assistant Professor, Dr. Department of Commerce, Dr. Hari Singh Gaur, Vishwavidyalaya, Sagar, MP. My topic is Green Supply Chain Management in India. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. The outline of this is, first we discuss the concept of green supply chain management, then components, benefits, objectives of the study, opportunities, challenges, initiatives taken by Indian companies, result, conclusion, suggestion. Now the concept. In the week of coronavirus lockdown, India's supply chain, like those all over the world, has been severely affected. With nations in lockdown, business have taken heat and economic growth has been deeply affected. As the outbreak changes the way people and business operate, the need to become more conscious environmentally and prefer green alternatives wherever possible becomes very important. India, like many other countries, is working towards achieving sustainable development goals and is moving towards a green supply chain management. The concept of green supply chain management is to integrate environmental thinking into supply chain management. It is the adoption of processes that are sustainable and effective in minimizing the ecological effects. The components are, next slide, please. There are 5 components of green supply chain management: green procurement, green manufacturing, green marketing, green distribution, and reverse logistics. Green procurement means environmentally conscious purchasing initiative that tries to ensure that purchased product or material meet environmental objectives set by purchasing firm, such as reduction the sources of wastage, recycling, reuse, resource, and substitution of material. Green manufacturing, it is a very important area with green operation. Green manufacturing practices are to implement socially and environmentally accountable practices to mitigate harmful effects of manufacturing and increase the profitability of firms. It's improve operational, environmental, and financial performance of the firms. Green marketing. Ma'am, third slide, please. Green marketing is essentially involves the selling products and serves green marketing essentially involves selling products and services based on their environmental benefits. It enhances firms' competitiveness, financial and environmental performance with positive corporate reputation and image. Most effective ways are communicate brand eco-friendly and the green campaign by documenting events with photos and videos. Green distribution, it involves transportation, warehousing, waste management, and packaging. Green transportation replaces the fossil fuels with biofuels, CNG, hybrid battery operated vehicles and equipments, and environment-friendly technologies. Green warehousing, it is adopting the technology compound systems to optimize the operational reduce waste. Waste management, alternative energy sources like solar panels, recycling water, and energy efficient sources helps to reduce the wastage of energy. Waste generated by companies is further treated and used as an input material in other operations. Packaging, companies following the green supply chain management are now switching to environmental safe components and finished goods, biodegradable material used for packaging and can reduce the harmful impact on the environment. Recycled packaging material, paper instead of plastic, are now increasingly being used. Reverse logistics, it is also a green concept. It refers to the set of activities conducted after the sale of a product involving the return of the product to the manufacturer for service or recycling. The benefits of green supply chain management. The opportunities of green supply chain management. Actually, the slides are not working properly. The objective of this study, benefits of green supply chain management is cost reduction, encourages the environmental innovations, financial gain, laser operational cost, brand reputation, competitive advantages, reduce of waste, increase firms' profitability, digital transforming, positive public relations, low environmental risk, and fines from regulatories. The main challenges of green supply chain management are integration of green supply chain management into the supply chain management, lack of environmental standards and control policies, lack of resources, technical expertise, knowledge, training, experience, very expensive, financial constraints, lack of management support, customer awareness towards green products, lack of government support. Initiatives taken by Indian companies. Mainly the ONGC, DHL Indian Express, Mr. Reddy's Laboratories, and Larsen and Toubro and ITC are the main companies who incorporated the green supply chain management in their business. Mainly the greening the industry gains is important in all the sectors like information technology, pharmaceutical companies, engineering, oil and gas company, manufacture and construction company, digital streaming, e-commerce, cloud compounding companies. Main initiatives taken by these companies are greening the vendor chain, toxic use reduction, carbon dashboard, water recycling, energy efficient lighting, reduce greenhouse gas emission, effective and cost-effective process, reduce, recycle, reuse, rainwater harvesting, solar power energies, e-chopals, ozone bleaching, and green boiler mechanism. The result shows that India, like many other countries, is working towards the achieving sustainable development goal and is moving towards a green supply chain management. Companies following the green supply chain management are switching to environmental safe components, recycled packaging material, solar power automobiles, replacement of fossil fuels with biofuels, recycling water, environmentally friendly products. According to the Indian Budget India 2021, a proposed fund for rupees 2,217 crores for the control of air pollution, Urban Swachh Bharat Mission 2, allocation of rupees 1,41,678 crores for renewable energy, rupees 25, encourage the research on health and technology innovations, will ensure that the overall research ecosystem of the country is strengthened. Now the conclusion is that positive efforts of green supply chain management might be even more relevant in the post-COVID-19 world because of the even more central role of sustainability. Green supply chain management initiatives help firms to improve environmental performance, such as reduction of carbon emission, elimination of waste, decrease communication cost, easily promote reuse, recycling, and remanufacturing. Firms also enhance their operational performance through improving products quality and improving delivery services. Now, the main suggestions of green supply chain management: protect the companies against the negative effects of COVID-19. It is an essential component of sustainability, penetrate new market segments, fulfills environmental demands of consumer and other stakeholders, lead competitiveness and economic performance, use of internationally recognized standards such as ISO 14001. Now, SBI also use the green channel counter and solar powered ATMs in remote area. Even now, according to the chairman UGC, Dr. DP Singh, announces on 5th June 2021 that green and sustainable campuses. So lastly, the Mother Earth is calling everybody to make her greener. Any doubt? Any question? Any doubt or question to anybody?
Yes, please, if any session chairperson have any questions, queries, please raise.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Madam, just I want to get your overall view on this green supply chain. In this competitive age.
Thank you very much, sir. First of all, I congratulate the organizers who are organizing, because many research scholars and many members from the teaching faculty are waiting for the wonderful platform. I am Surinder Kumar, a research scholar of PhD, Department of Geography, MD, University Rohtak, Haryana, India. Today, my topic of presentation is, as everyone is watching, towards the title Gender Inequality in the Light of Child Sex Ratio in India and Haryana. Because I was attending all presentation and technical sessions, and this conference is completely related to environment and developmental issues, but my presentation topic is a little bit different. So I hope that everyone will like it, because in India and Haryana it is a great concern topic, because gender inequality in India, particularly if we talk about the state of Haryana, it is very highlighted, because the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, also started a launch Beti Bachao Beti Padhao program from the Haryana state, because the child sex ratio, overall sex ratio is very low of Haryana. Let's start the topic. First, the gender is defined a set of characteristics that distinguish between the masculinity and femininity. First, we have to focus on the vocab of gender and the meaning of gender. Then we can talk about the gender inequality. And there are so many manifestations of gender inequality in the country like India, because here are socio-cultural variety and socio-cultural composition of a country who has population on the second order after China. And in our patriarchal society, there are so many cultural varieties from society to society in time to time, which are very from one social group to second social group. The gender, normally, if we define the gender, then we find a biological composition or sex biological composition line that separate masculinity and femininity. It is a general classification. It was applicable in 1970 decade, and the Supreme Court of America also entered in this concept in 1970 to 1980 decade, and also highlighted or demarcated between sex and biological composition, that the gender is not only a demarcations basis on the sex, it is also a biological factors which always favors the male or patriarchal society, or in favor of, always talk in favor of male. After that, many sociologists, many gender specialists raised voice against such kind of things. Then this topic came into existence in 1980 and 1990, and after since last, we can say 3 decades, it has been highlighted in our whole world that particularly in India, it has been highlighted that women should get respect and equal place to men. So here is the meaning of gender. And Amartya Sen also 2001 also said that gender inequality, what is the meaning of gender inequality? The variety and the variation from culture to culture and society to society, which tend to favor a man and leading imbalance, is known as gender inequality. Gender inequality manifests itself in India in a variety of ways, stemming from the prenatal to postnatal period with related to man and woman. Particularly, if we talk about perinatal period, then we find that so many socio-cultural practices take place in our society, like female foeticide in perinatal stage, that also tend to favor male cultural society. And in postnatal period, we also find that there are so many cultural and social practices, like we can say gender, we can say the female infanticide, and And we can say health, we can say decision making, we can say nutrition, so many factors where our society favors the male in compare of female. So the objective of this research paper or this topic is only to find that the spatial pattern of gender inequality with particular reference to sex ratio and child sex ratio in Haryana and India. On the national level, on the state level, we want to highlight some figures, some data through the map, through the tables, which shows the gender inequality with particular reference to demographic way, not only the other way. There are so many ways. We are here focusing only on the demographic manifestation of gender inequality. The whole data has been taken from the Census of India 2011 publications. Apart from that, the statistical abstract of Haryana recently launched 2019. The data has been taken. If we talk about the result and analysis, then we find that the trend and pattern of overall sex ratio and child sex ratio. Here on the title, if we talk on the paper title, gender inequality with reference to in the light of child sex ratio. But here we should also talk about the overall sex ratio, because we know the child sex ratio after 10 to 15 years turns into the overall sex ratio. If the child sex ratio of any society is disbalanced, then it will have a great impact on the overall sex ratio. And I want to talk about the overall sex ratio and child sex ratio. If we talk about the child sex ratio, although we accept that overall sex ratio from the recent decade, from 2001 to from 2011, there is an increase of 7 to 8 points. In 2001 census of India, the overall sex ratio of India was 933, but it increased and became 940 in 2011. But if we talk on the other side, the child sex ratio continued declined on a drastic way. It was 927 in 2001 and declined to 914, approximately declining of 13 points. That is a major concern. That is a major point to be discussed here. But the state like northwestern state like Punjab, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, and although the capital of India, Delhi, here the condition of child sex ratio and our sex ratio is very serious, and these states are showing the continued decline from one census to another census. And if we talk about the highest overall sex ratio and child sex ratio, we found that the Kerala, the Puducherry, and Meghalaya, and some other states which are showing a good range of overall sex ratio and child sex ratio. If I talk personally, because I am a student of PhD and working on my topic since last 4 years, and found a personal experience also worldwide. So I want to share that on the worldwide, on the international figure. If you want to talk, there are 100 female babies as per 105 male babies. There is a difference only the 5 points. If we talk about India, there is a vital gap 17 to 80 on the national level. If we talk about Haryana, the Haryana overall sex ratio and child sex ratio, so we found a 150 point gap. So such a gap raises many questions on the society. Such a gap raises many questions on cultural, on the elite people, on the educated class, on the we can say government, state level and national level policies also. So in this table, we want to show about the India, the range of child sex ratio from 2001 to 12. In the publication of the census of 10 year, recent publication of 2011, and after the recent publication 2001, we found two category, we can say two census 2001 and 2011. 3 categories are here demarcated below 900 to 950 and above 950. So 3 categories are divided here. Overall state and union territory are included in that. In 2011, if we talk about 900, then 6 state and union territory was there, which increased in 11th in 2011. 2011 census, if we talk about the total states and union territory which were in the zone of 2001 in the 950, 11 were there in 2011, 14 became, if we talk about above the 950, then we found that 18 states and union territory were in this zone, which came 10 in 2011. It shows a comparative picture of the national picture of the India about the range of child sex ratio of two census. If we talk about overall sex ratio and child sex ratio of different state and union territory of India from the same publication, overall sex ratio of UTs and countries and states, then we find a clear-cut picture through this table. So it is very lengthy, because if I'm talking about all 35 states in union territories and each and every data, then it will take 5 to 10 minutes. I hope that you are looking at the table and figures and get a pictures. These are the rest states. And where is the position of Haryana? Because here is we are major concerning with the Haryana state, where there is the sex ratio and child sex ratio are on the lowest place. Although Haryana is a developed state, if we talk about the economy, if we talk about the agricultural development, if you talk about the industrialization, everyone knows Gurgaon and Faridabad are in the NCR and getting a lot of and rapid progress in the industrializations. But on the social and cultural figure, like the sex ratio and child sex ratio, we are on the lowest place. It is raising a lot of question on Haryana. And these are the end of the tables on the national levels. In 2001, the overall sex ratio of India were 933. It became 940 in 2011 census, increasing only 7 points. But child sex ratio came down. It was 927. It became 914, declining of 13 points on the national level. On Haryana level, if we talk in this table, you are looking after the Jammu Kashmir of state of the Haryana. If you are comparing the figure of India and Haryana, we find a vital gap. In India, the overall sex ratio 943 and child sex ratio 914. Then compare the figure of India with the Haryana, we find a lot of gap. 879 according to 2011 census, the overall sex ratio of Haryana and child sex ratio, it is very surprising. If you look at the data, 830 on the national level, it is 914, or it is on the state level of Haryana, it is 830, a vital gap, lowest in Haryana, raising many questions. Why is so much gap? Although all facilities, medical science, medical and health institutions are on very close proximity in Haryana, every facility is there. Literacy is also appreciable. We are the missing women, missing female babies, where they are going. So there are so many questions on Haryana. If we talk about Haryana from 1901 to 2011, 100 more, a figure of around more than a century, we get that every census to next census, declining figures, declining sex ratio, or we can say child sex ratio is showing in this table. But from the recent publication or recent census 2011, the overall sex ratio increased about 18 points, but declining child sex ratio is a major concern of. It is the map showing the regional variation in the child sex ratio from the recent decade, or from the recent publication 2011. Data by district has been taken, and legend are showing only one district, that is Mewat, is here, which are showing the sex ratio above 900. It is very surprising and very serious matter we are discussing today. Only one district from the 22 districts are there. Only one district is there which is showing the sex ratio or child sex ratio above the 900. If we talk about below 800 figure is not appreciable, is not praiseable. We should not talk about such lower data. There are 4 the child sex ratio below the 800. So this map is showing a picture. Map is speaking itself that where the Haryana is going in the socio-cultural composition. These are the reference. Thank you very much.
Yes,
If anyone have any queries,
Thank you
then
very much, sir, for giving me the opportunity.
yes, Davya, please go ahead.
yes, sir. So if anyone has any query, then they can ask. If not, then we can continue with the next participant.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes.
please ask.
Sir, according to you, which are the major reason for this high inequality, particularly in one state?
What are the reasons you are asking?
Yes, sir. According to you,
the major reason, according to me, is the patriarchal setup of Haryana society, because many decisions are from the related to women also are taken by men in this society, and the patriarchal setup of any society, not about Haryana, patriarchal setup if is heavy from the any society, that to favor the male, or we can say that disfavor the female. The major reason is patriarchal society, and apart from this reason, I think that the accessibility of medical facilities, because everyone knows, if you belong to India or about, if you know about something about Haryana, you know there are 65% districts which are in the NCR, and there are private hospital and civil hospital hardly from the distance of 5 to 10 kilometers. So the amniocentesis practices or amniocentesis facilities are available everywhere. So it make easy or feasible for everyone if they want to get about the female baby, you can say type male or female, if they want to ask or they want to know, they can find it easily. And it happened in Haryana in 19 after the 1980 to 2010, approximately 30 to 40 years, these practices has been were applicable in the society. Every you can say hospital openly tested the female or male baby, tested whether in the womb it is male or female, and got your child in the womb that what is its sex. And if they find that the female baby is there, they removed. If they find that male baby is there, they were happy in from the prenatal stage to postnatal stage. So such type of practices or amniocentesis test or perinatal sex determination technique before 10 years after 2015, it is very hard to get this test, because administration, health institution, government also is strictly watching each and everything. But from the 1980 to 2010, it was practiced. It is my personal think. It may be that you vary to my view. So apart from these reasons, so many reasons may be there, but it is not in my mind at present.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Surendra Kumar, please contact us through call
Yes,
after
sir.
6 p.m. today. Okay, if you have not registered for this online conference,
I have registered, sir. My turn is tomorrow, but tomorrow is my duty exam, so I present it today.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So your name was in which session?
Tomorrow 3 to 4 p.m.
Tomorrow 3 to 4. 33 number, I think your serial number is 33. Okay, no worry.
Yes, so tomorrow is exam time. University exam are going on. We are on exam duty. Today I was free, sir.
Yes, yeah. Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So moving on ahead, we have another participant, Ms. Stuti, who would like to present. So are you available, Ms. Stuti?
No, Stuti is not here. Now
Okay.
we need to invite serial number 12. Serial number 12.
Okay. So I would like to invite Dr. Pareen Somani, who is going to present on socio-economic impacts of COVID-19, which is facilitating development countries towards a normal new world.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much for introducing my name. My name is, hello everyone, and good afternoon, and good morning and good evening from around the world. Hello, my name is Dr. Pareen Somani. I would like to say a very, very big thank you to Dr. Chirag Patel and the team for the organizing this lovely conference on the International Conference on the Business Management, Social and Economic Advancement. And it's my pleasure it's my pleasure to be with you and for invitation to share my knowledge on the socio-economic impacts on COVID-19, facilitating developing countries towards a new normal world. So today, let me do the introduction of how the India is developing country. So India is a developing country that has been complying with a mixed socio-economic model comprising of various theories and principles that have highlighted many disparities and unstable market growth prior to COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has resulted in many individuals unemployed and made redundant, with countries recording a record of high of employment rates. As society enters into a new normal, it's creating change in preconceived conditions or behaviors. Thus, the emergence of COVID-19 was abnormal, resulting in socio-economic implication within society. So the objective of my study is, this study aims to understand socio-economic impact of COVID-19 with the endeavor to provide recommendation to facilitate developing countries within the new world. Developing world within the new normal world, I should say that. Why? Because after COVID-19, things have changed. Therefore, if we look at the overall, there is a focus on the Indian economy. This study is completed by means of systematically literature review. So in my results and the discussions, how I have looked at my study is that if I'm looking at the overall results, have identified that COVID-19 has impacted the Indian economy substantially. The economy of India, a multitude of business transitions to online platforms to continue operations. The internet has created vast global connectedness where economic activities can give rise to innovation and important information that can be shared globally. Globally in seconds. So like if you look at it today, we are coming from different parts of the world, different areas, different society, different background, and we are still together on a one platform. So individuals in and out of employments are required to reskill and upskill. Decreased funding has led to lack of substances. Social distancing has become like a problem in developing country. Negative growth rates in GDP has been identified within the financial markets as external trades was limited and political system faced scrutiny. Migrant workers were forced to carry out the Black March from southern to northern India, many industries questioning sustainability due to the decreased demand and disruptions in the national consumer patterns. A peak in economy has merged through increased technology opportunities utilizing the internet and digital online platforms. So many rural areas had a lack of digital infrastructure prior to the pandemic as internet connectivity was poor or non-existent. Therefore, the Indian government established internet connectivity within villages in India, aiding individuals to stay connected and continue with their occupation remotely. So let's look at the first point which I have covered on education on the global. So if I'm looking at the global education, the rapid transition of face-to-face learning to remote learning has altered dynamically of educational institution, infrastructures, and pedagogies. Globalization has enabled partnership to form an institutional collaboration towards economizing resources. Together, academic institution can help students to overcome socio-economic challenges like access to hardware, software, internet accessibility, and numerous courses. There is a possibility that a combination of face-to-face teaching and learning and virtual interaction, also known as the blended learning approach, while it's continue into the new normal world. So let's look at the agriculture. So in agriculture within India's economy, um, agriculture can be perceived as the backbone, particularly as it is the dominant occupation of the Indian population. The COVID-19 pandemic has impinged upon agriculture productivity and implication on the rising price of agricultural produce. There are heightened concerns relating to labors, irrigation, and reliance on natural condition to yield good produce, although through the industry remained open during the pandemic, inviting unemployed individuals to generate their income. So numerous discrepancies experienced by farmers, protest broke out to reappeal against the three farmer acts referred to as farmer bills that had been informed in September 2020 by the Indian government. Now, let's look at the trade side of it. So if we look at the trade, approximately 40 million people have lost their jobs, dominantly within unorganized sectors. Lockdown restriction resulted in major industries being impacted, including chemicals, textile, and apparel. Automotives and metals, automotives and metals. So metal products, importing and exporting goods, In the short term, this is disruption in the supply chain may affect the manufacturing of intermediate products or intermediate goods. However, the productivity will be affected in the future as technologies and machinery will require replacing. Vegetables, plastic and rubber, animals, food products, etc. have had reduced exposure as they are being made at the local and at the national level. So now let's look at the health system, what was happening into the health system, which is a very essential. So during pandemic, we all know and we all are aware of it, that developing countries like India have been seeing an increased burden on the health system with overwhelming demand for hospital beds, oxygen cylinders, regardless of socio-economic background. This has shifted the focus onto the importance of governmental and charitable hospitals within the contemporary world and the numerous medical practitioners aiding patient to good health. The pandemic has highlighted a need for strengthen medical system with accessibility for all individuals, including in individuals within rural areas who have had to travel long period to find hospital facilities. So in my conclusion and my recommendation, what I have included that the COVID-19 pandemic has adverse impact upon society within developing countries. It has affected societies socially and economically, creating larger gaps between individuals belonging to the lower socio-economic background and the higher socio-economic backgrounds. Economic developments, human direction, and civilization have all affected. Pre-existing economic inequalities have been exacerbated. Many injustices have been highlighted. Thus, a focus must be placed on educating society within developing countries, as the youth are the future leaders who will contribute to economic sustainability and a resilient nation. To aid growth within India, national and international collaboration with educational institutions, industrial sectors, and health organizations will facilitate economic progression. Financial aid is required in many sectors and governing bodies, and implement strategies to help through which the economy can flourish. It is only by working together we can make a positive global change. I have put the references on the screen where you can look at it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Chirag Patel and the team for inviting me, and a very good morning from UK, and namaste to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So if anyone has any queries, they may continue to ask questions.
Yes, ma'am. This is Dr. Durga Prasad from India.
Hello, Dr. Durga Prasad. How are you?
Afternoon to one and all. And that's a great evaluated lecture by you, ma'am. Thank you very much for inviting. And my question is, everybody is talking about third wave in India. Can we expect third wave in India soon, please?
Can we expect?
Third wave of the coronavirus.
Oh, third wave. Oh my God. I'm glad you brought this up. In fact, I was thinking to come to India this month. I was supposed to be there by end of the month, but because so much is going on, so I have decided that I'll be coming early next month. But this is the same goes in my mind. You both are such a fantastic question. I don't know, it is going to come. Yes, the things are moving so fast. Okay, yes, there are possibilities may happen, but I'll be honest with you, we look at the positive side of it. If it does happen, we should be prepared for it. So that's what I'm looking at it right now, that if it does happen, we have to practice prevention, because now we all are expert in last nearly two years now, nearly 18 months to 2 years, that we know what to do, how to look after ourselves, how to help our surroundings, our family, our society, and our country. So if it does come, we should prevent ourselves by practicing the good hygiene, good habits, by social distancing, by following the government guidelines, and be safe and be safety.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, moving towards the end of the session, presentation session 1, I would like to thank all the session chairperson and the presenters who have been the part of it and made this session successful. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
We would be starting the session 3 from 3 p.m. onwards.